As a creative, I've always admired the film look. The way it appears, the way the colors have density, and the overall feel it gives to the footage gets me really excited. And because I love the film look so much, whenever I'm collaborating my own videos, I always try to give it that filmic vibe. So when Dehancer reached out to me to test out that plugin, I was very excited. Today, I'll be showing you how I collaborate my videos using Dehancer inside of Davinci Resolve. So let's get into it. So inside of Davinci Resolve, and the first thing I'm going to do is to come to Settings, come down to Color Management. And for my timeline color space, I'm going to choose Davinci Wide Gamut / Intermediate. Then for my output color space, I'm going to make it Rec 709A because I'm editing on the Mac. Then I'm going to click Save. So next, I'm going to import my footage I want to color grade. There's a footage I shot recently, so this is it. I'm going to open it. Then I'm going to preview to see the part I want to color grade. It's okay. So start from here. I'll make my in point, make my out point. Then I'll drag it onto my timeline. So next thing I'll do, I'll go over to my color tab, and this is where the magic happens. All right, so once you install Dehancer onto your Davinci Resolve, you have to go to your Effects tab to locate it. So what you do is you come over to your Effects tab, click on it, then come to the search bar and search for Dehancer. All right, so it's going to pop up, then you drag it onto the node that is there. So by default, it has factory settings, factory template that it comes with. What I typically do is I'll come down and click Disable All Tools. So what this helps me do is gives me a clean plate that I can start color grading and making my personal choices on. So for the first tab is our Input tab. For the source, I am going to choose camera. So in this part, this is where you can choose whatever camera you shot your footage on. So I shot this footage on the Sony A7IV, but I'm going to be selecting a black magic design. That's an unpopular way to approach it, but this works for me. So I'm going to choose Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, and then my format is going to be film. So we have a couple of sliders down here where you can adjust your exposure, your temperature, your tint, and also your defringe. So for my exposure, I'm going to say pull it down a bit to begin to bring in the proper exposure. Then for my temperature compensation, I typically like my footages to be warm. I like a warm vibe to my footage. So I'm going to take it to the right. I'm going to pull it up to about, say, 17.8-ish, yeah. And for my tint, I'll leave that for now. I'll come back to it. So we can see that for now, our image is still really looking flat. There's no contrast to it, but as we proceed, we'll see how we can add contrast to our image. Then the next tab is your film tab. This is where you can choose different film profiles. First thing you do is to enable it. Then you come down to this drop-down menu where you see tons and tons of film profiles you can choose from. And I think that's where Dehancer excels at their job, because they gives you variety of film profiles where you can choose from. You have your Kodak, you have different versions of a Kodak film profile, you have your Fuji film also. So whatever vibe you're going for, you just choose whatever film profile suits the vibe you're going for. For this particular footage, I'll be using the Fuji Natural 1600. Yes, so that's what I'm going to be using for this particular grade. Then the next tab you come down is your Film Developer tab. So under this particular tab, what I do is I'll enable it first. So you have options to boost your contrast, correct your gamma. You also have color options where you can add more color separation or to boost the colors you can find in your footage. So how the contrast works is taking it to the right, adds contrast to your image, brings in contrast to your image. Taking it to the left takes away all the contrast from your image. So let's take it to the right. Yeah. Then for gamma correction, you use this to fine-tune your exposure. So take that contrast up a bit, and the gamma correction, you use to fine-tune your exposure. And for the color boost, you take it up to increase the punchiness in the colors you have in your scene. So that's the before, that's the after, that's the before, that's the after. So under Film Developer, I typically do not mess with my contrast and my gamma, and that's because further down I have other tabs where I used to introduce contrast to my footage. So I'm going to reset the contrast and reset the gamma correction. Then I typically only touch the color boost under this section. So let's bring that down to say about 20-ish. Our footage is still looking flat, but let's proceed. Stay with me. So the next tab is your film compression tab. Now what your film compression tab does is it gives you that smooth highlight roll off without crushing your blacks or introducing noise into your footage. So when you enable it, so let's look at our footage. Observe the highlight areas. So before, after. Before, after. You can see that the highlight portions, there's a smoother roll off onto it. With the parameters here, you can use it to adjust the levels of the film compression you have. You can pull and push your white point. You can pull and pull your tonal ranges also. Just basically just play with them, the sliders, and see the result that works best for you. So for this footage, I won't be touching the film compression. I'm going to go down and explore other tabs. So the next tab down here is your expand tab. Now this is where I begin to introduce contrast into my image. So we're going to enable it. You have your black point, you have your white point. So taking the black point to the right is going to bring in more contrast to your shadow areas. Okay, I think I like it somewhere there. Then your white point, taking it to the right, also introduces contrast into your highlight areas. So we're going to reset the white point for now. Then we'll keep messing with the black point to a point that is good. Okay, so I think I like it here. Now the next tab is your film print tab. Alright, now this is where you choose the particular film stock where you want to be applied to your footage. If you click this drop down menu, you have your Fujifilm, you have your Kodak, you have your Kodak Endura glossy paper. So for the Fujifilm, click on it, that's the effect it gives you. Then you have popular OG Kodak 2383, click on it also. You can see it's applied to your footage, and then you have the Kodak Endura glossy paper also applied to your footage. So for this particular footage, I'm going to leave it on linear because I want a clean slate. And being that I've already selected my profile to be Fujicolor Natural 1600. So coming back to the film print, what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust my tonal contrast to say about 12, okay? So you can see I am basically the one choosing particular tabs, so I want to increase my contrast. But if you've noticed, if you look at our before and after, we're beginning to lose exposure, so we have to compensate back for the exposure. So I'll come over to the exposure tab and pull it up a bit, okay? Then I'll also increase my tonal contrast to give it that punch. Okay, so I'll say somewhere around there is great, okay? So these are before, these are after, these are before, these are after. Right, so let's keep proceeding. So the next tab is color head. Now under this color head, this is where you can pull and push colors into certain portions of your image, into your shadows, into your midtones, into your highlights. You can either push or subtract colors from those particular portions of your image. So when we click enable, so if we come down to our shadow tone, pulling it to the left is going to add more blues to your shadow areas. Pulling it to the right is going to add more warmth to your shadow areas. So we'll reset that. Same thing goes for midtones. Pulling it to the left, add more blues. Pulling it to the right, adds more warmth to your midtone areas. And same thing goes for the highlight areas also. So for this particular tab, I'll be adjusting only the midtones. Let's add a bit more warmth to the midtones. Just slight adjustments, about say 3.9. All right, so these are before, after, before, after. All right. So the good thing about color grading is moderation is key, right? You typically don't want to pull your sliders too much. What distinguishes a good color grading from an amateur color grading is the amateurs, they tend to want to always pull their sliders to the max. But for a professional colorist, you understand that just little changes when they compound gives you the results you're going for. So whenever you're color grading, you typically do not want to pull your sliders to the max. Just subtle changes gives you the results you're going for. So now at the beginning part of the color head, we have your yellow to blue range, magenta to green range, and your cyan to red. Under yellow and blue, pulling it to the left is going to add more yellows to your image. Pulling it to the right is going to add more blues. Same here, pulling it to the left adds more magenta, pulling it to the right adds more greens. Then for your cyan, pulling it to the left adds more cyan, pulling it to the right adds more red. So let's mess with this, let's see what we can get. Let's start with our yellow and blue. Let's add a little bit of blue. I can see that the yellows are getting too much, just to balance it out. Okay, so a little bit of blue, that's about 4.3, that's great. Then our magenta, let's add a little bit of magenta just to give more richness to the skin over here. So about negative 1.9, I think I like that. And for the cyan and red, I think I'll add a bit more red also to complement the skin tone also. So we're going to be doing subtle adjustments. All right, so I think I like that. So for the color head, you'll see our before or after. You can see our before. Now before, you can see our footage was more greeny. We had more grains. But after the color head, it's now quite balanced. The colors are sitting in a very balanced state. And that's what you want to do with color grading. Make sure your colors are balanced so one does not overpower each other depending on the vibe you're going for actually. So the next tab is our film grain tab. This is where you can add grain to your footage. So I would typically go for 35mm ISO 250 because that's the particular vibe I like. Then you can push and pull just to increase the amount you want in your footage. Taking it to the left adds more grain, taking it to the right reduces the grain. So let's see what can work for this footage. Let's take it down to about, let's say 1.1-ish. Let's preview. Okay, I'll see that it's quite strong. So let me just take it down to about 0.1. Okay, so that's still quite strong. So for this footage, I don't think I need grain, so I'll just uncheck. Okay, so I like how it's looking. I do not want grain to be added to this footage, so I'll just uncheck it. All right, so your next tab, you have the halation tab. So what halation does is that adds this red characteristics to the highlight portions of your image. So if you want to apply that, what you do is you click enable, all right? Then you choose the film profile you want. You have your 8mm, 60mm, 35mm, and 65mm. I'll typically stick with 35mm Super 35. Then to amplify the effects you've done, you can either increase it by taking your slider to your right or decrease it by taking your slider to your left. So for this particular image, there are no distinct highlights that we can visualize the halation. So I'm just going to uncheck the box, all right? Let's leave it there. So the next tab is your bloom tab. What it does is to add softness to the highlight portions of the image. So let's enable that and see the results, all right? So we can amplify that a bit. So now just take a look, observe these highlight portions of this image. When we, before, after, see, it just gives your footage this softness in the highlight region. All right, so let's take that down a bit. That's quite much. So I'll settle for around, say, 30 to 35-ish. You don't want the bloom to overpower your image. So before, after. All right, so I like that. So our next tab is the film damage tab. When you enable this, what it does to your footage is adds tiny scratches and dust pieces to your footage. So let's increase the amount. Go to preview. Let's play it. All right, so if you look closely, you can see some tiny scratches appearing and disappearing, giving you that vintage feel. So that's what the film damage does. For this particular footage, I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm going to uncheck that. So for film breaks, I do not touch that. So we're going to skip that. Then for your gate weave, what it does is that it simulates film jitters from an imperfect projector. So I typically do not use that, so I'm just going to skip that. Okay, so our next tab is the overscan tab. When you enable it, what it does is it gives your footage that creative film framing. So we have different options to choose from. You have your gate type, gate shape, perforation mode, film orientation. All right, so exploring the gate type. So when you choose different ones, you can see the creative frame it gives to your footage. You have the ultra 60mm wide, you have the super 35, you have the widescreen 35mm, and then you have the ultra panavision, right? So, and also the other sliders, you can use it to customize the framing of this film. You can add your lens zoom, you can add your offsets, you can have offsets horizontally, offsets vertically. All right, so for this footage, I will not be using this. I just wanted to show you guys how to use the overscan. All right, so we'll uncheck that. So the next tab is your vignettes tab. What you can use this to do is to drag the viewer's attention to a particular portion of the image that you want to direct the viewer's eye to. So you can enable it, then you can mess around with the options to see what it gives to you. Mess around with the exposure, mess around with the size, and also the aspect ratio. Let's take up the exposure a bit. All right, so when we see our before or after, you can see our before or after. So if you check our before and after, you can see there's this subtle effect it gives your footage that makes it even look more cleaner. I think I like what I'm seeing. Okay, so let's go up a bit and see what we can still adjust here. Let's see, I think our exposure, we can boost our exposure a bit. So we'll come down to your film prints, then let's add more exposure. Okay, so I think I like where that is sitting. All right, so let's add a bit more contrast. Use our black point, add a bit more contrast. All right, and let's see, maybe a little bit more warmth. Should we? Let's test that out. Okay, so I think this is beautiful. I think I like what I'm seeing. So let's look at our before and our after. So this looks really good. I like the result I've gotten from this, and I mean it looks very much good. I am so excited. It looks really good. So you can see I achieved this grade with Dehancer. So we started off from this is where we started off from, and this is our current results. I mean, this looks so good. I'm super excited. This looks really good. I love the result I've gotten from this. So you can see how Dehancer helps you to achieve that film look, and it gives you lots of options, lots of varieties to choose from, so that when you're color grading, your process is more adventurous. You can explore different options, explore different methods to get the footage to where you want it to be. When I'm done with my Dehancer, what I'll typically do, I'll create a new node where I add my saturation. What I'll do is I'll right click, I'll come down to color space, and I'll choose HSV, and I'll right click again for my channels, uncheck channel 1, then uncheck channel 3. And I'll come down to my primary color wheels and come to my gain, then push the slider to the right just to add more saturation. So the reason I choose to saturate my footage this way is because it is not destructive. It does not give you saturation that you dislike. So just come over to your gain, pull it more if you want more saturation. So you can see it's our before, it's our after, it's our before, it's our after. So you can see it's very subtle, but you can feel its presence. If you want more, you can pull it more. All right, so this is our before, this is our after, this is our before, after. So you can see as I've added the saturation, the skin tones are more richer, they are more pronounced. So we can do one more, it's our before, after. Okay, so this is how I use Dehancer to color grade my videos. And when you're done with color grading and you want to apply the same grade to another footage, so what you typically do is you come here over to your monitor, you right click and press grab still. So when you grab still, it comes over to your gallery here. So what it has done is you take all the color characteristics from your footage and make them into a file which can drag onto another footage instead of starting from scratch again. Alright, so to apply this to another footage, what you do is just you import a new footage. Alright, so when you're done importing your footage, you're going to appear here in the clips tab. So what you can just do to apply this grade onto other videos that you've made, what you can just do is come over to this gallery here, then click and drag it onto your node section here. You can see the results are pretty much the same. So with this, you don't have to color grade from scratch again, just drag and drop. You can drag the grade you've done here onto this particular one. And then sometimes you might have to modify the grade because the lighting conditions might be different and it might give you different results. So for this, let's just say we can come over to our print, bring up our exposure a bit, somewhere around there. Okay, somewhere around there. Then let's go over to our black points. Let's add more contrast to our shadow areas. Okay, so we'll come back to color density. Let's add more color density. Okay, then increase our exposure a bit. All right, so you can see we've copied the grade we did in the other video onto this particular video, and this looks so good. I mean, this looks very good. Okay, so come over to this next one, do the same thing, drag and drop onto this. Then you can see right off the bat they're looking good, but to modify it more, you can come over to your effects. So for this, let's take down our exposure. All right, so okay, you can see looking very good. So just messing alone with the exposure is giving you the results you want already. So I mean, this looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. So let's see what else can we adjust. Let's go over to our blacks. Let's add a bit more crunch. Okay. All right, that's good. So let's add that onto another footage also. So drag and drop. Okay, so for this, let's see what can we modify here. Let's modify the exposure. We'll come down to our print. Take away the exposure a bit. Okay, so and with that, I mean, looking good already. Looking pretty good already. And also, Dehancer recently launched a desktop beta app, which is a photo editing application designed to emulate the look and feel of authentic analog film. It allows digital artists and photographers to apply precise film profiles, authentic grain, and chemical effects to both RAW and JPEG images. It's available on their website, and you can also check that out. Okay, so this is how I typically approach color grading using Dehancer inside of Davinci Resolve. If you like my process and you admire it, and you want to get colors like this also, so what you can do is to purchase Dehancer for yourself, and on checkout, use my promo code 90s from the South to get 10% off. Link is in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next video.